Flirting with boys is literally so easy, I swear. I was talking to my coworker today, and like, he's not even that cute. It's just the fact that he's my coworker, and you always gotta have one. You always gotta have one coworker, you know what I mean? And he was coming back from the little mini fridge that they have stocked with the drinks and like whatever the fuck, and he had a can of Sprite. And when he walked back past me, he like said hi, and I was like, oh wait, when did we get mini cans of Sprite in the fridge? And he was like, he like looked at his drink, he was like, what? And I said, did you get that from the fridge? Like, I didn't know we had the cute little mini cans of Sprite. And he was like, this is a normal can. I was like,
what?
Okay, let me get this straight. You're saying that flirting with guys is easy, and your go-to example is talking to a guy at work that you don't even find all that attractive. First off, that's your coworker. You should not be flirting with him at all, attractive or not. And second off, you are making the work environment significantly more uncomfortable when you do that. Dudes in offices have it bad enough without throwing your feeble attempts at flirtation into the mix. Now, you're targeting this one guy. You said it yourself. There's always one coworker. So he's clearly not your office bestie, so this is a guy that you just like to torment, and that's just plain mean. What did this guy ever do to you? He's minding his own business and just trying to get his work done, and you're making things needlessly uncomfortable with this pathetic attempt at flirtation, which you clearly don't mean because you said it yourself. You don't find this guy attractive, which just means that you're a very special kind of bully, and you really should be fired from your job for behaving that way.
that's a normal can of Sprite, let me see. And he gave it to me and I held it. I was like, oh, it is normal. It just like looked small in your hands. And I handed it back. He goes, and I could see his little cheeks getting red. And he was like, yeah, maybe just because my hands were big. And I was like, yeah, that must be it. Bow, 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 bow. No, because I ate that shit up for real. And he loved it, I could tell.
And that's sexual harassment.
Woman, you're openly bragging about inappropriate conduct at the workplace. What the hell's the matter with you? Now, you're saying that this guy just loved it, even though he's clearly uncomfortable over the situation because you're talking to him and he's just trying to get his work done. Now, if he did quote unquote love it like you're saying, then yeah, you're just gonna be confusing the hell out of him, and he's working in a politically motivated office place where you get a free pass to sexually harass him and he can't do a damn thing about it. And you're acting like this is all just fun and whimsical when all you're doing is confusing the living hell out of this guy. I mean, men have it hard enough at the office as it is. It's a veritable minefield where if they say the wrong thing or even walk the wrong way, then he could get into a massive amount of trouble with the HR department, who absolutely love crapping all over men for any reason they can find. And even though nothing will happen because of your fun and innocent flirtation, we all know the exact thing that you deserve for behaving in such a manner at a workplace.
Dating in your 30s is basically meeting a cute guy, kind of having a vibe with him asking for your number, then asking you on a date, you saying yeah, sure, why not, and then right before the date and the entire day leading up to it, you dying to cancel because you just showered and you just want to get in bed and watch Housewives and never speak to this random stranger ever again, but instead you put on your mascara, you go meet up with him for hot chocolate from Earth Cafe, I don't know. I said I was gonna do dry January today as maybe a potential get out of the date card. And then he's like, no, I don't drink, period. So now we're getting cookies and hot chocolate. But yeah, that's being 30.
I am Jack's complete lack of surprise.
Translation? I'm a life failure that's over the age of 30, and I'm trying to trick myself into thinking that I'm actually interested in dating. I live a life of complete solitude that revolves around a career that I can't stand and living vicariously through a gaggle of fictional rich women who endlessly complain about living a life of luxury. The dating apps I download and regularly use is the closest thing to human contact I'm willing to give myself as I conjure up cockamamie excuses as to why I'm not willing to go out on dates. My desire to be by myself and eat cookies in front of the blue light of my overpriced television set is only outshined by my desire to completely justify my existence through internet comments. And though I could easily cancel my dates by saying that I'm on my period, I'm putting that excuse on the back burner as I really don't want to remind myself that menopause is just around the corner and I have nothing to show for it except an apartment I can't afford and a life that's so dull that the only comfort I give myself is just waiting for time to pass me by as I blame men for the mess that I created for myself. On a scale of 1 to 10, how close am I?
10. Dating is so funny when you finally meet someone who actually genuinely likes you and then you realize how much those other guys hated you. It is just clear as day when a man likes you. I will tell you, if you are ever fucking confused, he doesn't like you. And like, I know that. I have been told that a million times. When it finally happened to me in the dating world, since I haven't been in the dating world for a while, I was like, oh yeah, yep, this is what it feels like. Every single date has been planned while we're together. I always know when I'm gonna see him next before we leave each other. He made plans for Valentine's Day. Let me know. Hey, I made reservations for Valentine's Day. I was like, cool, I'll be there.
All right.
You can always tell how hopeless a modern woman is when she uses the phrases like love and hate. Just listen to the extremity of that. If a guy isn't doing things for you, then he just straight up hates you. Hate used to be a word that was reserved for a very special kind of person that you absolutely loathed in every capacity imaginable. Now modern women have co-opted it for Chad whenever he admits that he doesn't really care about her and isn't interested in anything serious. However, the opposite word, love, is not to be used here. She's just saying this guy likes me. Even though this guy is clearly bending over backwards for her, she is just acting like this is totally normal and it's really not that big of a deal. Modern women make a big deal about these things, and the very second this guy says, hey, I'm doing this thing for you, she's just like, oh, okay, cool, I'll be there, I guess. Like she has nothing better to do that day. I mean, even at the beginning of this rant, she can't even show any form of appreciation for what this guy is doing for her, even though she complains that men in general don't do these things for her. Just goes to show that she's ungrateful and not interested in this guy the way that he is in her.
And so I was like, oh, well, where are we going for Valentine's Day? And he's like, well, I sent you a reel, I think like last week, and it seemed like a place you'd really like. Like, I like really good cocktails, I like a dark room, and then like sexy mood lighting. Like, he knows that. I like it more like upscale. So he finds these places and sends them to me, and then I go, yeah, I will totally go. And he's like, oh yeah, it was that place that you approved of last week. Okay, dude. Okay, I will be there. He caters to me. Like, example, I was just talking about, like, this guy likes to drink fucking beer, but no, he'll drink my little fancy cocktails with me. He wants to do what I want to do.
Wow. That's amazing.
Oh, so in other words, you're not interested in this guy and only the things that he's willing to do for you just so long as he's willing to simp. Yeah, I gotcha. This guy went out of his way to find a restaurant that you would enjoy for Valentine's Day, and your response was just to be like, okay, dude, I will be there. Even though this place meets all of your boxes and seems to be more expensive than it should be, you still can't show any form of appreciation for this guy. You're openly bragging about all of the things that he does for you, but never once have you mentioned anything that you actually like about him, which just leads me to believe that you're using him for resources because you can't be with the guy you actually want. Which really makes sense because you're just listing off all of the things that he's willing to do to simp for you and try to gain your favor, even though there's no favor to be had because you clearly don't respect this man. I mean, you said it yourself, you're bragging about how he's catering to you, but you aren't talking about how you're catering to him. And that's kind of sort of technically important when you're looking at dating a guy, but what do you know? You have nothing to offer anyways.
Letting me know that he hasn't been on the app. He's like, no, I haven't been on the app. He's like, that's fine if you have. He's like, no judgment, but I haven't been on there. Okay. I didn't even ask. Straight up just tells me, I hope you know I'm pursuing you and I hope this works out. Just tells me. Like, no confusion. He has a list in his phone of my favorite things, my favorite, like, candy, flowers. He asked me these things, and then he made note of it.
Boy, there's no real easy way to say this, but, look, you're a simp.
You know, in my pocket, I've got me a moderately used intergalactic space penny that says that this broad is still on the dating apps and is using them regularly because she's telling herself that she wants to keep her options open. I mean, this guy just made an incredibly stupid move. Well, a series of stupid moves. Going out with her is one of the worst things he could have possibly done for himself, but by telling her that he is totally okay with her being on the dating apps, he has ultimately shown that he has no spine, and she cannot respect him one bit. That's why she's not going to delete those dating apps, and that's why she's bragging about all of the things that he does for her. And you can just tell by the look at her empty face that she has absolutely no interest in this guy whatsoever. She's listing off all of these things that he's doing to reduce himself, and she's just looking at it and listing it off as if she's looking at a grocery list. It's so dull and lifeless. And that's because she is not into this guy nearly as much as he's into her. And so she's just using him for whatever she can before the relationship ultimately implodes once he realizes that she's not worth it.
Most of my favorite artists is the Chainsmokers, and so one night when he was making me dinner, he turns on the music and the Chainsmokers are playing. And he made sure the dinner was like healthy enough for me, and like I liked everything that was on the menu. And then he made me breakfast in the morning. Made me a whole fucking brunch. I sent him a podcast that I think he should listen to, and then I asked him, like, did you listen to the podcast? He goes, yeah, I listened to it twice. Okay. He took that very seriously. And it's been 3 weeks. So this isn't anything crazy serious. But I know where he stands. As your reminder, ladies, if you don't know what's going on, he's probably not your man.
Pathetic.
Well, that's just it, woman. This guy is clearly not your man because you don't give two craps about him. This is a man who's going overboard to try to show you that he cares about you, and all you can muster up in return is, oh, it's only 3 weeks, so it's probably not all that serious. Go to hell, woman. That's not to say that the simp isn't off the hook here. The fact that he is simping just goes to show that he has no respect for himself. This woman knows that. That's why she's using it against him. I mean, through this self-indulgent rant where she's bragging about all of this stuff, never once did she actually say, I think this is the guy for me, or anything like that. She's keeping her options open because she believes that she can do better than a guy who's literally willing to move heaven and earth just to see her smile. Now, she's going to tolerate this dude's presence for probably a couple more months before she gets incredibly bored and finds reasons to hate on him, even though this guy hasn't done anything wrong. Oh, well, that's not necessarily true. He did do one big thing wrong, and that is you never, under any circumstances, simp for an ungrateful broad such as this.
You know that. Of course I do, sir. Everybody knows that. Of course we do, sir.
A special shout out is in order to MVS Nitro, the newest member of the bounty board over on Patreon. Good sir, your generosity is the stuff of legend, and it is an honor to welcome you into the shimmering 3-car garage cathedral of the intergalactic space god Zemglorplusard. All hail! And we also gotta shine the light of recognition on the fine members of the bounty board for their continued support of my work as well. Gentlemen and gents, I cannot muster enough adjectives in the entire English language to express how thankful I am for you and your contributions. I sincerely appreciate your support, and I'm going to express it every damn day. Thank you so much. All hail! And if you're interested in supporting the channel, check out the bounty board over on Patreon, where for $5 a month, you can get access to exclusive content you're not going to find on YouTube. I'll leave the link in the pinned comment down below for you. And of course, you can always support the channel by liking this video, sharing, and leaving comments. And if you're enjoying my particular brand of comedy, then I hope I've earned your subscription today.
Men like women who are mean to them. Men love bitches. Men don't like nice girls. Blah, blah, blah. You've heard that before, right? And it's true. You know why? It's not because that they like mean women. It's not because they're like all wanting to be submissive to this mean old woman. No, men love. This is actually the hack to all men, always, all the time. Don't comment, Gerald, that it's not true. It's true. It's true. Their number one, they've got 3 requirements, but number 1 is freedom.
What?
You know, the more I listen to these broads try to give out dating advice, the more I'm convinced they're just making this crap up as they go, and they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. Woman, how in the hell is treating a man like dirt somehow equal to a man being free? If a man wants to be free, then he doesn't have to bother with dating at all. He doesn't have to go after a woman. He can just live his life on his own, then he can be as free as he freaking wants to. But hey, I guess this woman is onto something. Apparently, she's dated every single guy on the planet, so this strategy is bound to work because she's used him on literally every single man. I mean, that is what she is proclaiming to the world. And in the event that she's actually done that, then why in the hell would you want to take advice from her anyway? She's literally dated every single man on the planet and she has nothing figured out. Hell, most self-respecting men don't want to deal with a woman who's dated even a 1/10 of a half of a quarter of a 1/12 of a 1/9 of a 14th of a % of what you're even saying. Either way, you're just trying to justify being an unlikable brat to a man who apparently cares about you.
So the girl who is bitchy, mean, whatever, is actually self-obsessed. She's got her own thing going on in her life. She does not care where he is. She doesn't care to control him. She doesn't care to track him. She doesn't care to ask him questions. She can hardly remember what he was doing. She can hardly even remember his name, okay? And that gives him the freedom that he is craving, or the sense of it. So if you want to have the same effect but not be a mean girl, just don't ask him questions and give him all the freedom or the illusion of it.
And that's an interesting thing about mathematics, is when you're 50% right, you're 100% wrong.
Woman, you almost had something that slightly resembles a halfway decent point, but you completely botched it in the execution. Yes, you do need to trust your man, and yes, you really shouldn't be nagging him all the time and demanding answers from him and showing him your blatant trust issues, to which you clearly have many, but you still are able to twist it around to just justify how self-absorbed you want to be for yourself. Now, you're confusing peace with freedom. You think that man just wants to go out and do whatever the hell he wants without you bothering him, but that's not really the case here. You should be able to communicate the things that are bothering you, but you need to do it in a respectful and mature manner, which are two qualities you clearly lack. I mean, you said it yourself. You can't even be bothered to remember this guy's name, and if that's the case, then why are you taking him seriously? If you truly are that self-absorbed, then don't bother dating. Leave the self-respecting men alone to go do their own things and to find their own peace, and just go live your best life as a boss bae Yas queen who needs a man like she needs to be able to justify her crappy existence.
Because at the end, I know you want to comment right now that, oh, but I don't want to, I just want to be myself. Stop trying to control other people. You cannot make someone be faithful to you by tracking them. You cannot make somebody do the right thing by pursuing them constantly. You can't. You can't. So get the benefits of being a bitch, why men love bitches, why men love mean girls, why men love all those kind of women, okay, that make their life a nightmare, by just giving them freedom. Because at the end of the day, you can't control them anyway.
You don't know what words mean, do you?
Woman, what you said makes absolutely no sense at all. You have no control over this man, and yet you are the one giving him freedom, which just goes to show that even when you're telling women that you can't control the men, you can still control the things that he does by letting him do the things that he wants to do, and that really makes no sense. Even if you didn't want him to do that, if that man doesn't care about you, he's just gonna go ahead and do it anyways. But that's because you're not in a relationship. You're trying to lock down Chad, and Chad sits down for nobody. Now, I am willing to meet you halfway here. I wholeheartedly agree. You shouldn't be tracking this man, and you shouldn't be constantly nagging and pestering him to do the things that you want to do, but there is a mature way to deal with this. It's called being an adult. You need to rationally and calmly bring up your concerns to this guy, and if he hears you, then he'll go ahead and he'll make changes in order to make you feel better. And if he doesn't, well, then you're wasting your time with the guy because he's not interested in a relationship with you. But you are not willing to communicate. You just go on to being a bitch, and no man wants to deal with that, no matter how badly you try to convince yourself.
There's the door, why don't you check it out?
I love me a big, strong, dumb, stupid man. Also, this is Natalie. Ignore her. But like, once I get one, I'm just like, oh my fucking god. This guy I'm talking to, which first off, he pulled the whole don't get attached. And I responded to him, I said, don't flatter yourself that much. Like, but I asked him today, I was like, what's your zombie apocalypse plan? He just said some bullshit, and we just like had a conversation, and I was like, you know what, like maybe I would be the last man standing.
No, woman, I cannot in good conscience ignore Natalie because I have so many questions for her. I guess my first one is, how does it feel to be attached to someone who's so incredibly stupid and ignorant? Now, if I was attached to someone's face like that, I would pray for the warm, sweet embrace of death almost every hour until she passes the mortal coil. Like, how do you do it? It's almost uncanny. Like, she's over the age of 30, so that means you've been stuck on her face for the last 30 years. I mean, that is some strong constitution right there. And the fact that you're so close to her mouth, like, I can't even count how many close calls you must have had over there with all of the crap that she gets into. Now, with all the pleasantries out of the way, woman, you really shouldn't be talking about Zombageddon plans and saying about how you would be the final survivor, because trust me, there's no chance. You're overweight, you don't know anything about firearms, and you want big, dumb men, so that just means that you're going to insult the men that do find you. You got no chance. You're gonna be in a zombie's belly on day one.
And he says, what does that mean? To which I said, what do you mean? And he said, what is the last man standing? Like, what is that? As if it's like some show or some media thing. And I said, it's the last man standing. Like, what do you mean you don't know what the last man standing is? It's just being the last man standing. It speaks for itself. It's the last man. So I just was like, I just wanted to text him, can you just flex for me? Like, send me a video of you flexing. Like, I'm done with this conversation. Like, I need to go back to why we're talking.
That's stupid. You're stupid. Stop being stupid.
Well, he probably didn't know what the hell you were talking about, because the concept of the last man standing during Zombageddon is literally impossible, because you're talking about dead people that are walking around. So you could never be the last man standing unless you eradicate all of the zombies, not to mention every single living person that's left on the planet. It's also an incredibly stupid thing to say to a guy, because the whole point of the zombie apocalypse is to team up with people you trust to help to rebuild society after surviving through hell. And even if that wasn't the case, it doesn't matter. You would not survive a zombie apocalypse. You're clearly overweight, you don't know how to use a firearm, and you need GPS to help you find the front door to your apartment every morning. And even if that wasn't the case and you somehow accidentally survived, you are not going to have any advantage over the men out there, so telling them to flex for you while there's flesh-eating cannibals roaming around is not going to work out in your favor there, sweetheart. So if anything, you succumbing to the zombie apocalypse would probably be the best thing a flesh-eating zombie could ever hope for, because that is the only way you're capable of providing anything with a warm meal. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and make sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you once again for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.